This is the solution video for Unit 8 review, problem number 13. Let R be the region of the first quadrant bounded by the x-axis and the curve y equals kx minus x squared, where k is greater than 0. So the first thing we need to do is we need to come up with this drawing. So if I have y equals kx minus x squared, what do we know? We know that it would be a parabola facing downwards, right? But then if we set kx minus x squared equal to 0, we could factor out x and get k minus x. And so we would end up with what? We would end up with x equals 0 and x equals k. And k is a positive number, so that means this graph would have a 0 at 0 and then a 0 at k, right? So here's 0, here is k, and it would be a parabola facing downward. So we have something that looks like this, right? And then it says, and the x-axis. So this is our region, all right? So first of all, it says, in terms of k, find the volume produced when r is revolved about the x-axis. So we're revolving around the x-axis. So what does that mean? All right, that means that this volume for part A is going to be the integral from, well, 0 to k, right? And I'm going to use a dx because I don't want to complete the square to use a dy. All right. And so I'm going to integrate what? Well, this is a volume, right? So we're going to use the washer method. So we're going to take pi times the integral. Sorry, not the washer method, the disk method, because there is no gap between the axis of rotation and the region. And so we're just going to take pi times the radius squared, right? So what is the radius? Well, that would be the upper boundary minus the lower boundary. So the upper boundary is kx minus x squared minus the lower boundary, which is 0, and then squared with respect to x. And so now I actually need to do this because it says find the volume produced in terms of k. So I actually need to carry this out. All right, so I've got pi times integral from 0 to k of, all right, so now I want to multiply this out. So I have k squared x squared. All right, then I have kx times minus x squared, so that'd be minus 2kx cubed, and then I have plus x to the fourth, and we're going to integrate all of that with respect to x. All right, so now if I integrate, I've got the pi in front. All right, so k squared x squared. Remember, k is a constant, so it's just going to be k squared times the integral of x squared, which is x cubed over 3, minus 2k times x to the fourth over 4, and then plus x to the fifth over 5. And then we're going to evaluate from 0 to k. All right, so now let's go down here. All right, I'm going to have the pi in front, and now I'm plugging in k, right? So k squared times k cubed over 3 minus, I can reduce the 2 and the 4 to just have k over 2 times k to the fourth, right? And then plus k to the fifth over 5, right? Then all of that minus pi times, well, they all have 0 for x, and so that part is just 0. So I have pi times, now this is k to the fifth over 3 minus k to the fifth over 2 plus k to the fifth over 5. And so I need a common denominator. Right? And so that means I'm going to multiply this by 10 over 10, this by 15 over 15, and this by 6 over 6. So I have 10k to the fifth minus 15k to the fifth plus 6k to the fifth, all over 30, and then times pi, right? So 10 minus 15, negative 5 plus 6 is 1, right? So I have 1k to the fifth times pi over 30, right? And so pi over 30 times k to the fifth would be our answer for A. All right, what about B? In terms of k, find the volume produced when r is revolved about the y-axis. All right, so now the y-axis, if I'm going around that, all right, now I'm going to use the shell method, right? So I'm going to take 2 pi times the integral of the radius times the height with respect to x, right? I'm still just going to use dx. All right, so now the radius, okay, the dx is x units from the y-axis, and then the height would once again be kx minus x squared, and then we're going to integrate from 0 to k. All right, so now for this one, I'm going to have 2 pi, and now I would distribute the x in order to integrate, so 0 to k. All right, so I'm going to have kx cubed kx cubed minus x, no, sorry, kx squared minus x cubed. All right, and then I'm going to integrate that with respect to x. All right, so now let's integrate. So I've got 2 pi. All right, what is the integral of kx squared? That would be kx cubed over 3 minus x to the fourth over 4, and then evaluate from 0 to k. All right, and so now I'm going to plug in k. So 2 pi times k cubed over 3 minus k to the fourth over 4, right? And then minus 2 pi times 0, right? All right, so now I have k to the fourth over 3 minus k to the fourth over 4. So now I need a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by 4 over 4 and multiply this by 3 over 3. And so if I do that, I get 2 pi times 4k to the fourth over 12 minus 3k to the fourth over 12. And so I simplify 4k to the fourth minus 12 over 12 minus 3. That's 1k to the fourth over 12. But then I have 2 and 12 is going to reduce to 6. And so I have 1 pi k to the fourth over 6, right? And so I have pi over 6 times k to the fourth, right? And so that is B. Now it says find the value of k for which the volumes in A and B are equal. Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to set pi times k to the fourth over 6 equal to pi times k to the fifth over 30, right? So then we just want to solve this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 30 pi k to the fourth equals 6 pi k to the fifth. All right, now, okay, what we want to do is we want to get everything on one side, right? And so actually I can divide by pi, right, to get rid of that. And I can divide by 6, okay, to simplify a little bit. So this is 5k to the fourth equals k to the fifth. So now let's subtract 5k to the fourth. So k to the fifth minus 5k to the fourth. I'm going to factor out k to the fourth. So I get k to the fourth times k minus 5. And so now k to the fourth equals 0 or k minus 5 equals 0. So k to the fourth equals 0. That means k equals 0. Okay, but you were told if you look at the top, that k is greater than 0, right? So that is not an answer, all right? But k minus 5 equals 0, so k equals 5. And so k equals 5 is our answer for part C.